want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations
For you. We had these conversations on our own. You know, we get each other all worked up and frustrated, and we
wait, whoa.
And we have these conversations for you.
That sounded bad.
No. Oh, did it?
Yeah, worked up and frustrated.
Well, conversation does that.
That sounds like our relationship is different than what it really is, man. That's weird.
Don't judge me, man.
I'm telling you.
Don't judge me.
Talking about me being weird
Don't
and creepy.
judge me
That was weird and creepy. You made me feel creepy.
Hey, man, you sure you want to talk about this today?
Well,
this might be the one.
It might be.
I think be the one.
I think this is why we do what we do, because this is something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be put out there that's just not being talked about. Yeah. And I guess we'll take the shot.
This might be the one, man.
Might be
this
the one.
Might be the one. This might be the one to get us canceled. Mm-hmm. This might be it, man. We going there.
We're gonna go there because it's something that everybody needs to know. And we have so many ladies who are of the single motherhood variety that watch us and support us, and I don't know that they even know some of these things that we're going to talk about today. So, I mean, we're here because, a lot of times it's either 4 men or 2 men. This is really for you ladies. This one's really, we came across a lot of things and we had a big, long conversation, did some research, and now we're like, this has to be put out there. I don't think you even know what's going on.
Yeah, this is the proverbial stir in the hornet's nest. Like, this is proverbial, you're going to shake it up and whatever's inside is going to come out. Yeah. And probably it's going to come out to try to defend the hornet's nest. Probably whatever it does, it comes up. So the onslaught. Yeah. I went to public school, man.
Hey, well, that's the thing is, like, truth hurts.
Yeah.
And results often harsh, always fair. So we're going to put all these little sayings out in front because this is where we're going today. And what's going to happen is you're going to probably be triggered. You're going to hear some things that you don't like because it doesn't vibe with your mindset or what you want to believe. But to get a new perspective and to have a new viewpoint and to change your mind, you're going to have to hear something new and something you probably don't like.
So cut to the chase. So we talking about single motherhood today.
Yep.
Single motherhood. Now, neither one of us have been single mothers.
Nope.
That being said, we have experience being raised by single mothers. Yes, what's your experience? I mean, generally speaking, don't put your mom's business out there.
Well, I mean, at that time, she was going to school for nursing and basically just doing the best she could. We had a little 2-bedroom apartment, and then she got moved from San Antonio to Georgia in the Army. So then I had to go over there. But then I think I was only with her as a single mother for 3.5 years. And then I went back with my dad. Which was nice because at that time my great grandmother was living with us and she was real old school, like no music during homework. And I mean, she'd come in there like busting things up. So she let me go back to live with my dad, which actually helped her out too, because freed her up. She didn't have to worry about it. But yeah, it was a struggle all the way around. And of course, granted, then I went into a whole new family where I went into my dad's second marriage with his new wife and my soon-to-be stepsister, who I think I was 7 I was 10 and she was 3. And so completely different, like going from only childness to this insta family kind of thing with a whole new stepmother who I don't think at the time really wanted me there. I think she thought it was gonna be her daughter, and my dad, and then I come rocking up. And so that was a big transition. And it was definitely an interesting experience.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, but where's your dad now?
Oh, my dad's passed. He passed in 2015.
Right. So all that puts it into context. And my, similar parallel, although I was pretty much with my mom from the beginning. I mean, my dad was in and out of a mental hospital. And so, when he was gone, he was gone. We were taking him cartons of cool cigarettes on the weekends. The part of the mental hospital he was in, St. Elizabeth's in DC, he was in kind of the part that was more like a incarceration kind of thing. He was there. He's criminally insane. And so some stuff that he did. But anyhow, so I was pretty much raised just with my mom. It was me and my mom for 6 years. And then my brother was born. And then and then he came into the picture. Then essentially it was me, my mom, and my brother. And then when my dad was home in and out the mental hospital, then for a while, then he was just out after a while. And then, yeah, same thing. He passed away, 26 years ago, something like that. I don't know. But so, yeah, being raised in a single mom environment or having experience in that single mom environment, I can definitely say, and my mom has said this several times, that she never wanted to be a mother and a father. Like, she wasn't my father. She was my mother. And it drives me crazy when we want to give single moms props on Father's Day.
Yeah.
No, just let her be a mom.
Yep.
And not have to be a father. But that kind of goes into some of the stuff we're going to talk about here today.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the statistics, 90% of single parent households are single mothers. And that doesn't mean that the fathers aren't around. That doesn't mean that they're deadbeat. It just means that's how the system's set up, that, there are just systems in place. I'm not exactly sure how to put that correctly or to keep us from getting canceled, but there are systems in place so that the mother gets the majority of the consideration when it comes to divorce and the custody of the children. So when we're talking about single mother homes, we're talking about 90% of single parent households are moms.
Yeah. Now, let's try to get canceled. Why not?
All right. That's what we're here for.
I think, there have been some historical baselines set up and even systems set up as safety nets, I guess you can say, for, first of all, I think, there was kind of through the feminist movement and through just other institutionalized things, efforts to remove men from the home and move men out of the home, whether it be incarceration or addiction, whatever. I mean, and made it easier, systematically, and I say that by saying, there was essentially a welfare system, created or strengthened to support the single moms. I could definitely say this for a fact, court-wise, a lot of the baseline assumptions in family court has been, maybe it's changing a little bit. Matter of fact, here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have someone on who's a divorce attorney. And so maybe we can get into a little bit than that then. But there was a baseline of mom gets custody of the kids, and mom gets custody of the kids. Dad gets a check that he has to write every month, and his job is primarily to financially support, but her job is to raise the kids. And I think that was a baseline. And, and in that, I drove by a billboard the other day at a bus stop saying, if you need help collecting child support, here's a number. If you call the courts right now, there's 1-800 numbers that immediately family support registry, they'll get on it. And, dad will get put in jail if he doesn't pay his child support. His driver's license will be revoked. But at the same time, if mom reneges on parenting time, there is no support. There's no enforcement of that. There's nothing dad can do other than pay a lawyer and go back to court. And so there are, like I said, there's some systems and even some institutional biases that I believe has led to that number, that 90%, that 90% single parenthood being led by a mom number.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things that it started off for a good reason. A lot of dads were leaving the home. Maybe, they got tired of whatever. And this, of course, this was back when, we had the 1950s and 60s. And I think really in the 60s with the feminist movement and the free love movement, and a lot of these different things, it started to kind of degrade the old, what we call the nuclear household, two parents with kids, white picket fence, et cetera, et cetera. But what we are starting to realize now is yes, women are getting their power back, but I don't know that they've either taken the time or anybody's told them of the long-term consequences of not having a father either in the home or around the children. And some of the statistics that are out there now are shocking. And I think that's where we're starting to get to okay, we have to see how this affects, because what's really happening is, and I think it was a video from Teal Swan that we both shared back and forth and watched, but she had somebody in the audience ask her about being a single mother. And she said, hey, I'm going to be, rough with you right now and be direct, that what you want me to say is, yes, that's a good thing, but it's not. Because for a mother to be the best mother she can be, she needs a man there supporting her so that she can be a mom. She needs a man there providing a structure so that she can focus on being a mother. When she's got to be the mother and the father, when she's got to be the one playing both roles, then both roles suffer. And when we get into some of these statistics, probably in the next break, it's very eye-opening and shocking. One of the reasons we want to do this episode, because you don't realize, I mean, it's so common nowadays, and it's so rah, like, you go, girl, you be a single mom, you take him to court, you take his money, but you don't know the long-term side effects on the children, not only on the children, but then on society, because the children become the next generation of society. So I think in some ways we're starting to see some of that with maybe the millennial generation and stuff. Of course, granted, I'm Gen X and Kirk's Gen X, and we're old, so we just look at all the kids now like, oh, crotchety, get off my lawn, and we don't like nothing you do. But the statistics don't lie. I mean, numbers are the numbers.
Speak for yourself, being old.
What you talking
about? I'm ripened.
Oh, ripened.
I'm seasoned.
Okay.
I'm seasoned. Like a good slab of beef. But anyhow,
sure.
I digress. Yeah, and so and we're gonna probably there's so many of them probably throughout this whole time here today. We're gonna kick out just different statistics at different times because there's a bunch of them. But the whole point is, the whole idea of a man being excluded from his kids' lives is dumb. It's stupid, and we need to culturally wake up in a lot of ways. Whether that's maybe some court reform, maybe that's some family reform, maybe that's just some mental reform of the whole idea of dad going for a pack of cigarettes and never coming back. I think that's gone. I mean, yes, there are deadbeat dads, absolutely. Yes, there are guys who aren't interested in raising their kids, but I tell you what, I know way more guys, and I know a lot of guys. I know way more guys who have an issue of being pushed out of their kids' lives as opposed to running away from their kids' lives. I know a whole lot of guys. I know some great fathers, and a lot of us are great fathers. And I know a whole lot of guys who wish they had more of a role in their kids' lives. Now, what that role looks like is different than moms, and rightfully so. And I think even to that point, it kind of, dads being in the picture can get a bad rap. And so we're going to get into, several of those little nuances here over the next, few segments. But, the whole idea is just kind of wake up call. And you probably haven't heard too many conversations advocating for, advocating against single mom households. I don't think that's the plan. I don't think that's anybody's plan. I don't think that's any woman's plan to be a single mom. I don't think any single mom had the plan to be a single mom. And so we're here today to advocate basically against the idea, regardless of how we got to that point, or in spite of how we got to that point. We're here to talk about, how it's not good for culture, it's not good for society, and maybe it's something we need to look at, in terms of how do we remedy this in our society. And speaking of remedy,
what?
We're going to remedy ourselves right to our first break.
Well, all right then.
Boom.
Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC. We'll be right back.
Boom, diggity. Hey, Tanner, I can't hear myself at all in my headphones.
You got to turn it up. I had to turn mine up
did.
too.
Oh, wow. Okay, here we go. Something you did.
He turned us down because we were being too loud. Now we can't hear ourselves.
Probably.
He's so... No, we get that.
Oh, okay. If I just crank it up there. All right, cool.
Turn it to 11, man.
Turn it to 11. Boom. Hey, if you're watching this here, what are some comments? What do you got? What do you think?
Well, we hadn't got into the juice yet, so hang on for a
agree,
second.
disagree, though? I mean, I'm curious. Somebody's got to have you cannot not have an opinion.
Fasten your
Right.
seatbelts.
You cannot not have an opinion on this one.
Fasten your seatbelts. Put your tray tables up. Make sure you got your big girl boy panties on because it's about
We
to
going
get
in.
real.
We going in.
Let's get it.
We're back.
We're back.
We Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right.
Here on KLDC.
Yes, we are.
12:20 a.m. in the Mile High City and on the interwebs everywhere. You might be watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Buzzsprout, one of the podcast platforms, all over the place. However you hearing us, that's where we at.
Yeah, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and make sure you make comments. I know on this one you're going to want to comment, so make sure those comments are at least 4 words. So when you're hating on us and you're telling us me too, and it goes both ways, make sure you put both of those in there so it's at least 4 words.
Now, he didn't say 4-letter words. He said 4 words.
Well, you take it how you want.
I mean, you can put 4-letter words in there. Don't trip. I know some too. But we're talking about single motherhood today, single mother households, and how it's not the plan, and it shouldn't be the plan. He already kicked out that 90% of single parent homes are headed by women. So here's a couple of stats. 63% of teen self-cancellations come from single mother homes. 90% of homeless and runaway children come from single mother homes. 71% of high school dropouts, single mother homes. 70% of youths in different government institutions, not including prison, not including prison, are from single mother households. That's just a few stats, and we're coming back to some more. But either way, the whole point is, man, that's not the plan.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you look at the difference between those statistics and what you get from single father households, there are almost none.
Right.
Like those statistics from single father homes and single mother homes. And so we're not saying that the moms aren't doing a good job. We're saying that the reason it's going that direction is because men need to be a part of the kids' lives, whether they're in the house or not in the house. You know, I know a lot of you ladies, either you lost your husband, maybe it didn't work out, or maybe he was one of those toxic ones and you had to get rid of him. But there are other men in the community. And that's what we're saying, is that there has to be men in your children's lives so that they can get what men give, which is preparing them for the real world. A lot of the things we're seeing nowadays is that because ladies tend to operate through emotions, and it's just how, you know, the feminine is, there's too much onus on the emotional side and not enough on the doing and the, you know, the kind of things that guys focus on, like the linear thinking and the logic and the doing. So when you don't have a kind of a balanced rearing of the kids, and they kind of go off, you know, half cocked, and guys, you know, men are really good at the boundaries and like, okay, you can do that, but here's the results, instead of, you know, putting on all the bubble wrap and going, no, let's not have any failures, let's not have any issues, let's not have any injuries. Guys are more like, yeah, go ahead and try that, let's see what the results are now, what did you learn from that? And if we don't have kind of that balancing of the emotional side and the results side, the logical side, it tends to leave the kids off balance.
And you know, having a father, I'm gonna say having a father, not even just having a man, you know, because, you know, a matter of fact, ideally father. Right before we came in here, I saw a post on Facebook, and somebody said something to the effect of, you know, if there's a stepfather that comes into the picture and takes on the role and this and that, that's not a stepfather, that's a father, and this and that. And I replied back, no, I had a conversation with my soon-to-be bonus daughter. I don't want to replace her father. I'm not her. I'm her bonus dad if she wants. I have already and will continue to step into those roles and to support her like I do, you know, any of my other kids, or shoot, even some of my kids' friends. You know, I'll do that, but I'm not her father. And I hope that her and her father can have a good relationship again one day in the future. And however I can facilitate that, I want. But I'm not going to box him out like I'm going for the rebound and, you know, down in the paint with Joker. I mean, I want that. And so I think the reason why it's good to have that figure, particularly that father, in the kid's life is because of the structure. You think about it, you know, like you said, women tend to operate more off of emotion when they're in their natural feminine. And I'm not talking about when they have to become masculine, because they are trying to fill all of those spaces. But and so if you look at our culture now, man, everything is based off of feeling. Everything is based off of, how do I feel today? How do I want to identify today? I'm offended. You hurt me. I don't like that. And so you got to go away because you said something that hurt my feelings, or you know, and everything is just, you know, it's the lack of that structure in our culture, in our households, that's got us all soft and squishy as a culture, just in terms of, you know, any kind of rigidity or any kind of structure, any kind of frame to the picture, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of being ruled by the lowest common denominator. Like, we are being told to not offend the dumbest people, the people who need to be offended. They need to have some truth talk to them. They need to have some reality checks, but we don't want to offend anybody. So then those people are not getting checks. I mean, and that's the thing. That's why you got to have both. That's why you got to have real friends. You got to have people who will be honest with you, because none of us are perfect, and we're all going to go crazy and do some dumb things and go off the deep end. And you got to have somebody there to check you. If we're not going to check each other, especially our children, when our children don't get checked, when we don't take the time to say, hey, that was a mistake, what can we learn from that? How can we do better? Or you shouldn't do that, and here's why. We don't take the time to do those things, and we worry so much about their emotions and their feelings. They're not prepared for the real world. And we see a lot of that nowadays, where people are just so soft and shocked by every little thing. It's not up to you. I mean, that's the thing. If you want to show true insanity, say that the entire world has to change for you. instead of you changing to adapt to the world that exists. And that's what we're seeing is everybody wants to have the entire world change for them so that they can feel comfortable, they can feel safe, instead of actually building some resilience and some thicker skin and actually learning to adapt to the world outside. Because if somebody's not touching you, they didn't do anything to you. You are hurting your own feelings by what people say, by what you believe about it, by what you are making up about it, by the stories you're telling yourself. And so no matter what somebody says, it's still your responsibility to respond and be responsible, the ability to respond to what they're saying or to what you're hearing. So if you cannot control your own reactions to words, sticks and stones may break my bones, words will never hurt me. This is what we're getting to, people. Now we're throwing out words because somebody else can't manage their own emotional reaction to a word. That's your responsibility. You're a grown adult. You are responsible to your reactions.
But this, and circling back, this comes back to the lack of that male structure. Last time we were hanging out, with our buddy Jude, we were talking about how in our court systems these days, because men are the way we are, because we are structured, and because we are all those things, it can be seen as a negative in the court because, nurturing is worshipped in terms of what's a better parenting style, because, the mom can say, oh, well, he doesn't this and he doesn't that, from the soft science kind of thing, the tender softness, squishy, nurturing, all that kind of stuff. And so that can be almost weaponized in the courtroom and used against the dad because he's not, he's not that soft, squishy role. But that's important in the kid's life. The kid needs to know or hear the other side of that equation, like, rub some dirt on it kind of stuff, man. When my son was going through his turbulence, in his last year and a half of high school, man, I had all kinds of people around me, man, who was like, oh, you just need to love him, or you just need to, you just need to hug him. And, I'm like, I know my son. And I know that he knows that I love him. It wasn't a matter of love or support. He had all the love and support he needed and had. And all these other people wanted to come in and rescue him. And I just kind of said, hey, man, the lights got to come on. And, I was willing to let him fall and stumble and maybe to some degree have the light come on after he stubbed his knee and after he stubbed his toe. And, again, I had all these people around me kind of questioning my fatherhood when turns out it kind of worked out. I mean, homeboy, the light came on, and when it came on like a mofo because, he got his act together. He went to 3 different high schools in 2 different states just in his senior year, but he figured it out. He got it together. He graduated. He got a little scholarship when he graduated, got himself into the Navy, got into the Navy, has graduated 2 schools already in the Navy, is on his base, bought a car on his own. Just texted saying, check out my new car. Mm-hmm. Homeboy is like doing his thing. He's not living off of nobody. He's not dependent on nobody. He is a productive member of our society and even in our military. And so, but so many people questioned all that because I didn't just hug him and kiss him and tell him, poor thing. No. And so I think, so that's needed from a father perspective, but I don't think that, I think we get dinged for that in our culture.
Yeah. And that's the thing is we've taken out failing forward. We've gotten so worried about feelings and don't fail. Remember all the participation trophies and things where it used to be the winners. And if you wanted to be a winner, like the winners got the trophies. And if you didn't get the trophy, you're a loser. That means work harder. That's the results. That's the cause and effect of that event. But when we got so worried about everybody's feelings and them getting hurt, their feelings are going to get hurt. Well, you can't build character without resistance. This entire world, this entire life is built to resist us. And when we take the resistance away, we don't build a muscle. Everybody knows if you want to build muscle and get strong, you have to go to the gym and lift heavy weights. You have to go to the gym and get some resistance. When you take the resistance away, then you got nothing but soft, pliable, no backbone, no structure people. And that's what we're seeing on the world. And that's what we're saying, have masculine influence. And here's the thing too, when you become a single mother and you have to play both roles, what tends to happen is you either go one way or the other. You either go really into the nurturing and you don't have the boundaries and then the kids just run all over you, or because you've gone into your masculine so far, you get way into the masculine, you get very structured, but then you miss the nurturing side. And we got to have both. That's why children were meant to be raised by a mother and a father, not just a mother and a father, a mother, a father, an aunt, an uncle, a grandmother, a grandfather, an entire village. It takes a village to raise a child. But the more we keep cutting away the influences and the healthy rearers and people who are responsible for that child, the worse the children are becoming. Yeah. And these are just the results. I'm sorry.
80% of youths in prison come from single mother households. 80%. I mean, 80%, that's not a coincidence. That and goes back to not having structure, not having both of those sides, not having the nurturing, but also the structure that we all need, and not having the balance between the two. And, you know, and I think when we come back, I'm going to get into kind of some of my theories on the what the single moms I think are probably saying and the pushback. And but what about I'm about to come back on some of that. Some of that is based on my experience, so it ain't even theory. Like some of these numbers and all that are just statistics that are out there. But I'm talking some experience. Again, 85% of children from single mom households show behavior disorders. I mean, it's not meant to be the plan, and I think we need, as a society, we need to kind of wake up and realize we need to do some things about this. The single mother households, and I'm even going to say the lack of father figure in spite of the single mother households. And like I said, I think there's a connection between the two. And
very much so.
I'm gonna put some moms on blast when we come back. They're gonna be mad at me.
Blast it.
They're gonna be mad at me, man. I'm telling you.
Let me have it.
Trust me, but I'm gonna bring it, man. I'm gonna bring it. So we're gonna take a break here, couple seconds early, but we're gonna take a break because I just want chomping at the bit to get in this, man. I want to make somebody mad. We'll be right back. Mad Men and Masculinity, KLDC 1220 AM. Boom. About 10 seconds early. It ain't too bad.
I think Tanner can handle 10 seconds.
I think he can handle 10 seconds.
He can ride that bull for 10 seconds.
He can do it. You know, 8 seconds at a rodeo, you get a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
What do they get? Belt buckles in the rodeo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder who came up with a belt buckle for a trophy. I don't know.
It's Cowboys, man.
Yeah, I know. But that's kind of like wrestling. Wrestling, they got a belt.
Yeah. Well, boxing and UFC, everybody's got a belt now.
So if you fight, then you get a belt.
So they didn't give him a belt; they just gave him the buckle.
It's just the buckle.
Like, bring your own belt.
Yeah. Because you know, you Cowboys, you got your own belt.
They're cheap. Yeah.
But a big fancy buckle is important, apparently.
All right,
Sure.
Let's bring it back. Let's let them have it.
Sure.
We are back.
Yep.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
This is KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City, and we're talking about single motherhood. Strap in, big
First
boy,
of all,
big girl panties.
Pretty random conversation, and we got into Cowboys and belt buckles somehow
we did.
really quick, just in a little break. So, you know, if you want to check all that stuff out, you want to hear kind of the random junk we end up talking about.
Some of the funnier stuff is actually on the break.
Yeah,
so
hit it up on YouTube, and it is in the breaks, man. It's actually kind of random. Like, how in the world do you go from this to that? So here we go. Single moms, let's go toe to toe. In this corner is Kirk M. Samuels. In that corner, all the single moms out there. Single moms, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Because I know some of y'all are thinking, but I mean, he should be in the picture. If he ain't in the picture, it ain't my fault. You know, if he is, you know, he need to step up, and he needed this and he needed that. Single moms out there, you need to advocate your kid's father in their lives. You need to be a spokesperson for why it's important to have your kid's father your kid's father in their life. A lot of times, you know, relationships end, you know, you go through divorce, and most divorces don't end happily, right? So most divorces end with some kind of bitterness or angry with, most of the time anyway. It is really easy to let all of that spill over onto the kids. It's really easy for your jerk husband to become the jerk father, right? And so you need to separate the two. You need to separate single moms, the fact that he was maybe a terrible father. Just because he was a terrible father, a terrible husband, doesn't mean he has to be a terrible father. He can still be a good father to his kids in spite of the fact that it didn't work out between the two of you. And a lot of you use how you feel about him, and you project that onto your kids, and you project that onto them. And so when you see them and the whole idea of them having a relationship with him, that kind of rubs you the wrong way. And so to some degree, you need to have the guts And you need to kind of step up and say, okay, it's bigger than me. This is about the kids. If it really is about the kids, and if you love your kids, you need to make sure that you do everything possible to have their father in their life. And sometimes that means you might have to push back on your kids. Because guess what? Yeah, if your kids have a choice between dad's structure and mom's, nurturing, lovey-dovey, come here, let me hug you, kiss you, let me wipe your boo-boo, and give you a fruit roll-up, then obviously they're going to choose the easier road. You're going to need to push them in the direction of having some kind of a structure in their life so that they get that part that they need. But I'm telling you, a lot of moms, and it happened to me. It happened to me that I was told, if we can't have a relationship, you won't have a relationship with them. I was told that verbatim, right? And I got 2 ex-wives. So if it sounds like I'm talking about one that can't be heard, then it's probably the other one. Whatever. Point is, that happened to me specifically where that relationship was intentionally severed by an ex. And that is still broken the relationship between me and them. It still causes a rift between me and them. And so these things happen. I mean, we can't pretend that they don't. We all know somebody and we all know a mom who talks bad about the father in front of the kids. That's the kind of stuff we can't have happen. We can't have him being the bad guy to them because he was a bad guy to you. And it's going to rub you the wrong way, but it is what it is. And a lot of y'all know what I'm talking about if you remove some of your feelings and emotions from the equation.
Yeah, and the whole point is you have to remember what the priority is. If the relationship's not going to work, and granted, you ladies know, I've heard the horror stories on both sides. So if he's, an evil person or toxic, then yeah, he's got to go. But there needs to be some replacement of masculine influence. But when you're splitting up a relationship, when you're splitting up a marriage, the kids are now the priority. They should have been the priority in the marriage. They should have been the priority in the relationship, because the whole point of coming together and having a marriage is a family, is to grow kids and make them the best they can be. And the statistics are in, the numbers are in, the science is in, all the psychology is there. Kids do better in dual parent households. If that's not possible, then become the best co-parents you can be. And if he's one of those guys, or if she's one of those women and it's just not going to work out, there are other options, but they have to have the influence of elders in both masculine and feminine. Because and when you really look at it, ladies, a lot of times when you get into your feelings and you exclude him, and then you start using the kids as ammunition against him, what you're doing is making your life harder. If you really think about it, if you include him and you keep him a part of the kids' lives, that means every other weekend. That means, you get some time off. You both get to be co-parents, because the whole point of having 2 parents in there is to support each other. A man's job is to provide the house and the money and the structure, and provide you with support to be the best mom you can be. When you have all that weight on your own shoulders, ladies, then it's hard for you to be the best mom you can be. And so you go one way or the other, or sometimes you get good at going back and forth, but you're just making your life that much harder when you used to have a man who was there to support you. But for whatever reason, you decided to blow that up, or it didn't work out. How can you make this the best situation for the kids? The whole point is it should be kids number 1, us number 2, our feelings out the window. How do we make them the best kids they can be? How can we give them what they need to be prosperous?
And before y'all argue with me with the exception, because y'all like to do that. Well, what about, I'm not talking about the exception. I'm talking about the generality, the rule. Yes, it is an exception that he is some kind of a criminal, like a very violent, dangerous person. And all this. First of all, that's somebody you chose to have a baby with. So you need to check yourself on that one. But either way, yes, there are cases out there where, you're talking abuse and all this other kind of stuff. And, that the kids are literally in some kind of danger. That is the exception, not the rule. That is by far the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, that's less than a quarter, usually less than 20-25%.
Yeah. In most cases, y'all didn't get along. And quite honestly, in a lot of cases, when it's a terrible marriage, he can't be the father that he wants to be. When y'all are in a terrible marriage, you can't be the mother you want to be. And so ultimately, even when you end up getting a divorce, that more often than not, that father relationship with the kids suffers way more. And I think a lot of that comes down to, again, a lot of the biases in the court systems and all these other kind of things. I'm telling you, it is really, really easy to go after enforcement of a father who doesn't pay, but it is really, really difficult to go after a mother for enforcement who doesn't hold up her end of the deal. Trust me, I'm not this. These are facts. This is the experience. It is difficult. Now, I'm so proud to say it's been about 20 years that I've been paying child support faithfully. And some of that time period, I paid at one point, you know, in one case, I was paying child support for like 2 years longer than I needed to. Which when I called them, they were like, "We've never seen a father pay child support more than you need to, especially this long." But either way, it is what it is. I'm so proud to say this is the last month in my life I'll ever be paying child support.
Man, you want to do it, so
I'm getting a pay raise,
and
and I'm thankful for that. I'm proud for that because I've faithfully supported and been there for all my kids. I'm not saying I've been the perfect father, but either way, I faithfully supported all my kids. That being said, do you know how difficult it is to call the court and say, "Hey, my kids are old enough, I shouldn't be paying child support"? You know how difficult it is to get a hold of a person to say, "I'm done"? It is extremely difficult. Now, even though they've aged out, every single one of them, if I don't pay child support next month, they're coming after me.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that just doesn't make any sense. Okay, the guy who you're hoping will be paying child support, you want to send him to jail so he has no way of paying child support. Doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe work out something, but I get it. There are some deadbeats out there. It doesn't work out. But the whole point is, stop making the fathers just a wallet. Stop making him just a checkbook. He needs to be there for more than just the financial things. And the worst part is, a lot of ladies, not the best ones of you, I know that, because the best ones I've seen, they're always working with him and they're always trying to make it work out. But there are some ladies out there who they see them dollar signs and they're like, "All right, get rid of him, get me another one, get rid of him, and take all the money." And then the kids have no stable influence. They got, escalator dads or carousel dads are just in and out, and they don't have that stable foundation. And that's the thing. Kids need stable foundation, because for kids to grow and learn, they need to feel safe so that they can adventure out into the world. And they also need to have somebody who will show them the results of their actions and give them boundaries, because kids will test boundaries. That's their whole point. That's how they learn how to operate in the world. And when you have one person that has all of those responsibilities, I don't care who you are. I don't care what cape you wear. I don't care what superpowers you think you got. It's too much for one person to do. And so the kids lose out some way. Having, whether it's a step parent, whether it's family, whether it's a community, having other masculine people around, masculine men, to help out with that child, even other feminine women. The best, the people that get raised the best, that have the most, strong, successful lives, are the ones that usually have the most experience with the most variety of people that are older than them. So having more experience with more variety of people, that's why having a family unit, having a village unit, having a bigger community for those kids was going to give them more tools. And then it lightens your load. I mean, none of us want to work harder, most of us. Why would we want to work harder and make our lives harder, make our child's lives harder? Why not add in those who can be of a benefit to the children growing up, so they can get more tools, more strengths, more skills, more knowledge?
Yeah, the reason I brought up that whole child support thing is not to rail on the whole child support system, even though it needs to be railed on. We need some reform in that. Man, if there was a politician that ran on that platform, you got me, homeboy. Just reform and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, but the whole point is, the system is slanted away from the father. It's slanted such that it's way more difficult from the father's perspective than it is from the mother's perspective. And that's out of balance. And so culturally speaking, I mean, and at the same time, in our court system, we give 15-year-olds the voice to say what they should and where they should and shouldn't be and who they shouldn't. Tell me what 15-year-old daughter is going to want structure.
No.
Not us. If you ever had a 15-year-old daughter, you know what happens when they turn 15. Every single one of them
lose their mind.
And so what 15-year-old daughter is going to say, yeah, I want to go over there where there's some structure, where it's not, soft and cushy.
They're going to tell me no and not let me go to the party.
Not a single one. But our court systems give them the voice to say, nah, I don't want to go there anymore. Nope, I think I want to go back over here. And that it's slanted in that way that it's not realistic. Moms help moms help kids get through childhood.
Yep.
Dads help kids get through adulthood.
And get into adulthood and be successful.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's like when we separate those two things and realize that for you to be the best mother, you need support. You need masculine support. And if that's not going to be in the household, then figure out some way to find that, and for your own good, for your kids' own good. Because like Kirk said, from like 0 to 7, that's mom's territory. Once they start getting towards puberty, that's really dad's territory. He's got to give them the structure for the world. If we're not doing that, then they struggle. They're not successful, and then they have lots of issues. And we're not saying that being a single mother is the worst thing in the world and that it's all your fault. We know all the statistics. We've been studying this. I get it, but stop making your life so hard.
Yeah.
And realize what happens when you take all this on yourself and you can't handle it all on yourself and you're doing the best you can. It's not good for you. It's not good for them. There are ways that you can improve your life and their life. And a lot of times that means including the father or having other masculine influences that can be supportive so that they can learn both sides.
You're setting your kids up to not be successful adults when you push the father out of the picture.
Yeah.
So
we just saw, what was it, Pearly from Just Pearly Things talked about, she thinks women who exclude the father who is there and wants to be a part of lives out of the lives should be held criminally liable because you are putting them in danger. Verifiable danger of having all these different things, being institutionalized, going to prison, being a sexual assaultist or maybe self-canceling. All of these things are statistics from not having a father in the home.
Yeah. And, again, before we go to a break here, I'll just say dad should be more than just a paycheck.
Yes.
We enforce that, but we don't enforce him being part of the picture. And so it is what it is. Let's take a break. Madman and Masculinity, KLDC. We'll be right back.
Have they called to cancel us yet?
Boring. Get him up there. Pull the cord. Damn it.
It's a good thing we recorded this previously,
Yeah.
and then we broadcasted so that we're already away from the studio.
Indeed.
Like it couldn't get us.
I'm telling you, man, but seriously, it's so freaking frustrating, man, because it's like, I'm telling you, man, you call the 1-800 number to the same family support registry that takes that deposit out of your bank account every month. You call them to say, hey, all my, in Colorado it's 19. Okay. They're 19. I'm done. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to leave a voicemail, see if anybody calls you back, maybe email somebody. But you select one if you need some money.
Yeah.
If you're a parent seeking child support, which is essentially moms, seeking child support, you hit one, boom, hotline. What? Oh, no, he didn't, girl. Oh, yeah. Oh, we getting him. Next thing you know, man, they can garnish your check. They can take your driver's license. They can, put you in prison. All this other kind of stuff, man. It's out of balance.
Well, see, and that's the reason, and this is why we can take it out of the single mom's hands. The reason it's so bad is because the government has, they get money every time.
Yeah.
They're getting a portion of that. So it's just like every time you sign up for one of those free deals, where there's cable or something like that, and then once you get on, you can't get off. You can't find somebody. You can't find the cancellation tab. You can't find a 100 number. You can't find a real person to get online. It's the same sort of thing. They want that check, and they want it coming in.
Yeah, I think the bias, like from from way back, the bias is outdated now.
It's gone a little overboard.
At this point, it is. At this point, it is. You got more dads, stuck.
Yeah.
Like Chuck.
Oh, I got a story of a buddy of mine who just got railroaded and had to fight to stay in his kid's life.
Yeah.
And she was just like, no,
Dude,
it's
that was me. That was me, dude. I'll say this now, not necessarily over the air, but dude, I had to get a restraining order. I had to get a restraining order to keep her from coming to my home, banging on my door when it was my parenting time. Not only that, when I went to go pick them up for my parenting time, I only had them once a week and every other weekend.
That's not enough.
But when I went to go pick them up at one point for my weekend parenting time, she called the cops on me.
That's ridiculous. This is what we're talking about. This is the games y'all play.
This is not anecdotal. I've been there, done that. And so these things exist in terms of, pushing dads out of the picture. And some of it is, there are obviously cases and exceptions where, dads, bounce and dads just leave.
Yeah, you got to go by a case basis.
These days, I'm telling you, it's more so that more dads want to be in the picture. There are more good dads now, I believe, just by numbers, demographically, more good dads in terms of dads with good hearts than there ever.
Yeah, with all of us being raised by single mothers and having broken homes, we want to be in our kids' lives.
Absolutely. Is this third or fourth segment?
This is it.
This is it?
Fourth quarter, baby.
Man.
You got to do it.
Dude. All right.
More than go. We shall be back.
Yeah.
I heretofore.
Dude, man, that's some good meat, man. Y'all need to go on YouTube, man. I put some personal business out there on that break, man.
Yeah, so, we're not gonna put that over here.
No, that's but whatever. I don't want nobody to no ex to sue me or whatever. But you need to go to YouTube for real. Check that one out. It says, let's see, children brought up in single mother homes are 5 times more likely to self-cancel, 9 times more likely to drop out of high school, 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances, 14 times more likely to commit grape, the fruit,
the forced
getting 20 times more likely to end up in prison, 32 times more likely to run away from home. I mean, single mother households, it's not working in our culture, and we got to do something to correct that. And I think obviously, and we talk to men. I mean, we're all about men being the tide. When the tide comes in, all boats rise. That's 99% of what we're talking about is making men better. So this is not a case of us just railing against women, red pill, all this other kind of stuff. And so as we focus on all of that, to be real and to have some kind of sense of balance in this whole thing, sometimes we need to speak for men. Yeah. And in this is one of those cases where, ladies, y'all need to do a better job at keeping fathers in the picture. And sometimes that means telling your kid, like, hey, yes, you have to go to your dad's house. Yes, you have to go. You need him in your life, whether you like it or not. Trust me, 20 years from now, it'll be benefit. And I need a break.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, we're not railing on you. We're trying to make your lives easier. Absolutely. We're trying to make your kids' lives better. But what you're hearing is what the whole national social narrative is: you go, girl, you're a super mom. You don't need nobody. You can do it all on your own. Well, how tired are you having to do it all on your own? Wouldn't you like to lighten your load and make your life a little easier and better? Well, there are men there. You had one probably who was there who wanted to do that, but because of the grass is greener and all these extra options, these fake options where, oh, I can just go over here and I can get this guy, he's gonna be the best thing ever, and then that doesn't really work out. So,
and if you think what he just said is cray, another statistic is 80 to 90% of divorces are initiated by women.
Yeah, 80%. 90% if they have a college degree.
So, I mean, most divorces by far, again, 80 to 90% of the time, is initiated by mom, who is basically saying, this is going to be better off with my kids being in split households and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, if you make that call, then cool. Then that's on you. You got to live with that. You got to go meet your maker because you made that choice and that decision. It is what it is. But when you make that choice, you also should be making the choice that I am not going to remove my kid's father from their life. That should be part of your agreement when you go into that divorce court. First of all, I think 50-50 should be baseline.
Yeah, it should be.
I think somebody should have to prove why it shouldn't be 50-50 parenting time. And if it's a 50-50 parenting time, I think this is a way radical, whatever. But I think if it's 50-50 parenting time, generally speaking, there should not be a very big, huge child support check written over and over again. I mean, I think, I don't think child support should be the primary income source for a grown woman. That being said, I think the dad should have the kids 50% of the time. So 50% of the time, she doesn't have kids. So she's not at home raising a bunch of kids. So she is able to go produce some income. And so, I mean, I think 50-50 should be the baseline, but in any case, you 80 to 90% of women who initiate divorce, you should also be accepting the fact that you are going to be promoting your kids having their father in their life, even if it's uncomfortable for the kids.
Yeah. And it's time, since apparently we as men and in society at large are not allowed to hold anybody accountable anymore because we are the big evil ones. But ladies, you need to start holding some of these other ladies accountable. Start telling them to stop using men for paychecks and stop using their kids as ammunition, because what we're having and what we're seeing is not good. The future does not look great. I mean, these are the future rulers of the world, the future producers, the future everything that we're creating. And without these healthy balances, without these healthy influences, and these ladies just using kids for paychecks because, oh, I can just have some more kids and I'll get child support, or I'll get, WIC, I get all of these, earned income credits and all these different things from the government, all these tax credits. They're not being held responsible for anything. And that's what's really sad, is that we've gone so overboard helping women get everything they need that now there's very little that ladies are held accountable for. Pretty much there is some sort of government agency or some sort of government program to help a woman no matter what the situation is, whether she has a job, whether she has kids, whether she's broken on welfare. There's some sort of program to say, hey, don't worry about it, girl. Don't worry about your bad decisions. Don't worry about those poor choices in life you made. We've got a program for you. But guess what? Daddy government wants to come in and tell you what to do with your kids. Daddy government wants to come in and tell you how, you have to raise your kids and what you can teach them, what you can't, because now he's footing the bill. Now you have somebody who doesn't care about you or your kids. They have no onus. They have no responsibility. They have no love for those children, telling you what you do with your kids so they can pay for you. They can give you whatever those programs are, instead of having the man who helped you create those children be in their lives, the one that actually loves them, the one that actually wants to be a part of their lives. It's time for you to get off Big Daddy government, and ladies, start holding some of these other ladies accountable, because every time we try to do it, cancel city.
Yeah. And how that whole scenario happens in terms of the big checks being written is because the system is baselined at mom having primary custody and dad's not really knowing that we can fight for 50-50. I would say any dad who's going into divorce court, you go in there saying you want 50-50. At least, at minimum. And if she is way off the rails, then maybe you need more than that. But you go in there and you fight for 50-50, and you take a stand for that. But what happens is, mom maybe was a stay-at-home mom, and so she makes the argument that the kids need to be with me. They only know me. They're used to me. Blah blah blah. Dad travels and dad works a lot and all this other kind of. That was the dynamic in the marriage. Well, if the marriage is going away, then, and especially the 80-90% of y'all that are making the decision to end that marriage, then maybe it ain't gonna look like you get to stay home with the kids. Maybe it ain't gonna look like dad doesn't get to be around the kids. Maybe it looks like, guess what, dad? You're gonna have to spend some time raising your kids. You're gonna have to come home and make dinner or make some arrangements or something like that. Spend some of your money on that, meal prep or whatever. And mom, has to go out and generate some income. But I've seen that scenario play out so many times, and it's just not fair. And it ends up being where dads get pushed out of the picture, and or dads are the bad guy, and or dads are the paycheck.
Yeah. We do this episode not to belittle, not to shame, but to shed some light on what is going on and what the results are, and to honestly help you ladies have a easier, better life, and help your kids become more successful and more balanced and structured and everything else. But when you listen to social media, when you listen to the media, when you listen to all these structures and empires and businesses basically who are making money off you, the government is a business making money off you. All of the marketing is making money off you. So the more power they can take away from you, which by breaking up your family is taking a lot of power away from you, taking a lot of the foundation that created this country away from us, and putting all that on your shoulders. Now you have all this responsibility. Yeah, okay, great. You can make some more money. You can maybe quote unquote have an easier life because he's paying child support, but that's not better for your children. And in the long run, it's not better for you, because what you're finding out, once you get past that first marriage and you're in your mid-30s, mid-40s, and you have children, it's really hard for you to find somebody come in and take over there, because those aren't his kids. You want him to take 100% responsibility with no accountability or
authority.
That's the one.
I get you.
No authority.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here to try to help you out. We want you to have a better life. And what that means is, at some point when you get in your fields and you don't have the butterflies and electricity and all the stuff going on anymore because you got into a real relationship, that means F your feels and focus on the children.
Yeah, I am personally, definitely, and I'm way more passionate about this. And a lot of it is because I've experienced it, and a lot of it because I've seen it firsthand. And I've seen the impacts that it can have on kids. I've seen one divorce where it was, terrible, and it was, drawn out, and it was War of the Roses kind of thing. And I've been through one where it just wasn't. You did it ourselves, no lawyers, all that kind of stuff. And I've just seen the difference in the kids. And so I don't hate. Obviously, I don't hate women. I love women. I'm about to get married to a woman. And by the way, when I met her, she was a single mom. And so I don't have any beef against that whole notion. But what I'm saying is, it's not the way it's not the ideal, and we should rethink our decisions and how we approach this thing if you decide to go down to the road. And what you just said is huge, man, because you're a single mom, and maybe you got the kids most of the time, and maybe their dad is writing a huge check. First of all, what if something changes with his work? Then your primary source of income is now gone, and you're going to want to move on. But how do you move on, or how difficult is it to move on when you have your kids primarily all the time, and you want to develop a relationship with a man who, that whole dynamic gets out of whack. It causes a whole lot of domino and ripple effect or impact when the father is not heavily involved.
Yeah, it's something we are here to take the smoke. We're here to take the pushback because we do care. And we know we have lots of ladies that watch our show because you've gotten tired of listening to your moms and girlfriends about what it takes to have a man or keep a man or to find a good man. But these are things, when it comes to the results, often harsh, always fair. Your results, may vary, but when you make these bad decisions, then your results are going to come out very much on the norm. We're not talking about all the exceptions, all these statistics and all these things that we're talking about. This is kind of the norm right now. And that's why we're having this episode, to open your eyes and wake you up. So maybe don't burn the ship. Maybe take some time to work it out. Like Kirk always says, go into debt, spend all your money to save that marriage for the kids. If you can't, then make sure you find some way to make sure those kids have the best upbringing they can. I think a lot of times, and I know even my upbringing, a lot of times, as long as the kids are fed and having, a roof over their head, whatever, screw them, they're fine. They're taken care of. But there's so much more a child needs than that.
I talked to, we said 80, 90% of the time is the woman filing for divorce. I'm going to say 90% of the time, even though I can't think of an instance where this wasn't. But I'm going to say at least 90% of the time, ironically, the ex-husband moves on to the next relationship or the next wife or next family before the wife does, before the ex-wife does. And so, all these dynamics kind of play into each other.
And that's ladies' fault too, because you like a guy with experience, and when he's already got some experience,
that too,
But that's not bad.
No, it's not bad. You should cancel him. I'm canceling you.
All right, I'm canceled.
You're not allowed to come back.
All right.
But I think, man, so many of these things, man, there's a lot of dots out there, and they do connect. And at the core of it, man, in my heart and my passion, I don't care what happened between you and baby daddy or your ex. You make sure that their father is in their life, even if you got to take them to visit him in prison, whatever. Make sure that he's there.
Even a bad example is still an example. A father figure, even if he's not the best father. I've seen a lot of guys who did not have the best father who did amazing things because they had that example. When you try to remove the example, even a bad example, it's still an example. And sometimes a bad example will have the best impact, on a child going, oh, maybe I should not go that way.
Boom. Hey, let us know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe. The like button is free. Subscribe button is free. Let us know. You want to cancel us? Are you mad? Your feelings hurt? Let us know. What's your comments? Do you agree, disagree, all that kind of stuff? Give us a smoke.
Yeah. And if your feelings are hurt, that means something resonated with you and didn't like hearing it. I mean, maybe take a moment and check yourself.
Absolutely. Holler at your boys, madmanradio.com. Look us up on YouTube, Facebook, man, everywhere.
Any place you can get a podcast.
All that kind of stuff. Find us. And with that,
Mad Men out.